You're very handsome in person.
You want me to take you on a date?
You want to take me on a date?
Yeah.
You can take me on a date. How old are you?
I'm 18.
I have a feeling we can go wherever we want to go, even with you being 18.
For sure.
Okay.
Do you put it up there in terms of like one of your best fashion moments?
Dirty ass nigga, big dog. I don't know nothing about fashion.
NBA Youngboy has one of the most loyal fan bases in hip-hop history. Over 100 songs in a single year. Presidential pardon. Private attorneys who charge more per hour than most people make in a month. A net worth estimated between $6 and $10 million. His brother Bway Young is 23 years old, still posted up in the same Baton Rouge streets, and just caught another charge in Arlington, Texas. That gap is what this whole story is about. They share a father, a man sentenced to 55 years in federal prison for armed robbery when Youngboy was just 8 years old. Same blood, different mothers, different households. Youngboy was raised by his maternal grandmother, Alice Galden, after his mother's situation fell apart. Bway came up without even the foundation Youngboy had. By the time Jeffrey Tate was old enough to understand the world, around him the father was already gone, and so was any male presence in the house. In Baton Rouge, that vacuum doesn't stay empty. The streets fill it. Youngboy started making noise in 2015 and 2016. 38 Baby put him on the radar. Before I Go built the buzz. Outside Today crossed into mainstream attention. YouTube views hit hundreds of millions. His fan base, which the industry kept underestimating, turned out to be one of the most consistent in the entire genre. When the money came, he made a move. He bounced between Louisiana, Texas, Georgia, California, and eventually ended up in Utah on house arrest while fighting his most recent federal case. Geographic distance from the environment that raised him. That's what making it is supposed to look like. Bway stayed, whether by choice, by circumstance, or by the absence of anyone offering him a way out. He was still in East Baton Rouge while his brother was stacking certifications and navigating federal courts with private legal teams. But here's what people miss when they tell this story. Bway didn't sit on the block waiting for a handout. He looked at his brother's trajectory and decided he was going to build his own lane. He launched his career in 2020. His debut single, Who Want It, came through DJ Academic's channel and landed. Not because of the famous last name, but because Bway actually had a voice. His own delivery, rooted in his experience without copying Youngboy's style. He followed with Sin Again, Trap Talk, Message Sent, and his first full project, 6 Ways to It. In 2021, he dropped Dark Hearted. In 2022 came Success Before Destruction, and that title said everything about where his head was. A man who knew the window was closing, trying to get to the success before the destruction arrived to cancel it. His YouTube count crossed 130,000. Real hip-hop outlets were covering him. The foundation was actually there. But every one of those projects was being built while Bway was navigating a second-degree murder charge. December 2nd, 2019. Bway is 16 years old. A 17-year-old named Javon Brown was walking home from school in East Baton Rouge Parish when a dispute broke out and he was shot in the stomach. He was rushed to the hospital and didn't survive. Police investigated, and Bway Young and his older brother Devin Tate, another half-sibling, were both taken into custody. Both charged with second-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon, 16 years old. And the lawyer sitting next to him in that courtroom was a public defender, a court-appointed attorney assigned because the defendant couldn't afford private counsel. In Louisiana, public defenders carry overwhelming caseloads with no investigative budget, no expert witnesses, and no pre-trial motion support. On a second-degree murder charge that can carry life without parole, that difference isn't minor. It can be everything. Youngboy, in that same general window, posted a $1.5 million bond when he caught federal gun charges in 2021. Had attorneys fighting for him at every stage. When he faced 63 charges in Utah in 2024, he navigated the entire thing from outside a cell. In early 2026, he received a presidential pardon from Donald Trump. That's the legal reality for the brother with resources. Prosecutors were ultimately unable to secure a conviction against Bway on the murder charge. He walked, but the process itself is a punishment. Your name attached to a murder charge in public records. Your freedom restricted while the case plays out. Every dollar, every hour, every ounce of focus going toward managing a situation that could put you away for life. All of it at 16 and 17 years old with whatever a court-appointed attorney could provide. Then in July 2020, while the murder case was still active, Bway got shot. East Baton Rouge, same area, same block. Stable condition. Rumors pointed to retaliation connected to the earlier incident. So now there's a teenager who is simultaneously a shooting victim and a murder defendant. Stills in the same neighborhood, no safety net. No famous brothers showing up to change the equation. He still kept making music. That deserves real respect. In 2024, he dropped Been Too Sad, not accidental that title. He released Old Days, a song reflecting on where he came from. In 2025, he put out an EP called Where is Bway? That title asks exactly the right question. Where he is still in the trenches, still building without infrastructure, still operating in conditions that represent documented ongoing risk for someone in his position. April 30th, 2025, Arlington, Texas. He's 22 years old, booked at Tarrant County Correctional Center on illegal possession of a firearm and marijuana. Also held as a fugitive by another agency, another news cycle. Another charge, Youngboy, who had just come through 63 charges, federal court, house arrest, and a presidential pardon, responded to his brother's arrest with complete public silence. Not a post, not a comment, nothing. This happened while the rest of the family was also cycling through the legal system. Devin already had history from 2019. NBA Ken. Another Tate sibling was arrested in December 2024 during a Texas traffic stop. Unlicensed firearm and 3 pythons in the car. Multiple brothers from the same bloodline navigating serious situations without the resources their famous brother sits on. Hood vlog footage of Bway circulated online, and people immediately recognized what they were looking at. This wasn't a curated street aesthetic for content purposes. This was a young man's actual daily reality. Posted up in one of the most dangerous environments in the country with no visible security around him. And when your older brother is one of the most recognizable names in hip-hop, you're not anonymous in those streets. You're the version of the famous brother that the hood can actually reach. That doesn't make you safer. It makes you a more visible target. Youngboy has shown genuine generosity to the people in his chosen circle, bought cars, funded sessions, gave platform to artists who came up around him. Nobody is questioning whether he's capable of looking out. He clearly is. But that generosity has flowed toward people who serve a functional purpose in the Youngboy ecosystem, not visibly toward the brother who shares his blood and is still stuck in the world he escaped. Never Broke Again is not just a logo. It's a statement about identity, loyalty, and what you owe to the people who were in the trenches before the money showed up. That ethos is what made his fan base trust him so deeply. The idea that a man who came from nothing was going to bring his people with him when he rose. The question Bway's situation forces into the open is simple. Who does Never Broke Again actually include? Bway had the talent. Listen to his music without knowing who his brother is and you hear a legitimate artist. The bars are there. The emotional authenticity is there. You cannot fake that kind of pain in your voice, and Bway never had to. He was rapping his real life. The only meaningful difference between his career trajectory and Youngboy's is that Youngboy's breakthrough moment arrived before the streets could close the door. Bway never got that moment. Every time momentum started building, something interrupted it and reset the clock. What could have changed it wasn't a handout. Bway was never waiting to be carried. What he needed was management, a legal defense fund, a relocation package, and a cosign from his famous brother that would have made labels take him seriously instead of treating him as an interesting footnote. None of that required Youngboy to sacrifice anything meaningful from his own position. It was the kind of assist that changes a trajectory without disrupting yours. Instead, there was silence. Instead, the same block. Instead, the same charges and the same outcome for someone who deserved a different one. He's 23 years old, 4 albums in the catalog, survived a gunshot, beat a murder charge, still building in conditions that require him to be in places that represent real danger. Resilience is real, but resilience is not a substitute for resources. The door stayed closed, and as long as it does, Bway's story stays exactly where it's been since the beginning. Drop a comment. Do you think Youngboy should be doing more for his brother? Or is this on Bway to figure out on his own?